Support for this episode comes from BikeNWA. Did you know that May is National Bike Month? Celebrate alongside BikeNWA as they host weekly and overall challenges throughout the month of May. It's easy to participate, free to sign up throughout the whole month, and is for all skills and abilities. Visit lovetoride.net/NW-Arkansas today and start logging your rides to win cool prizes. Support for this episode comes from Signature Bank of Arkansas. You may ask yourself, why bank at Signature in the first place? Well, because they put the focus on the customer instead of on having a branch on every corner. This means you can have your questions answered by a real person, whether you're reaching out to the call center or your banker's cell phone. You can access any ATM in the country without fear of a fee. They will refund all of those fees at the end of every month. Finally, you can access Signature Bank from your laptop, phone, or tablet 24 hours a day. Give the folks at Signature Bank a call at 479-684-4700 or visit their website signature.bank and let them know that you heard about them here first on the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. Signature Bank of Arkansas is a member of the FDIC and an equal housing lender.
It's time for another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas, the podcast covering the intersection of business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life in general here in the Ozarks. Whether you are considering a move to this area or trying to learn more about the place you call home, we've got something special for you. Here's our host, Randy Wilburn.
Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn, and I'm excited to be with you today. We've got another great episode, and I'm recording this in the month of May of 2021, and this is actually National Bike Month, and so I've had a chance to feature BikeNWA. We finally got together. I connected with Bianca Montoya, and she was kind enough to sit down with me and share her passion for biking and just the overall passion that biking has in this area of Northwest Arkansas. And so we wanted to kind of continue to move that theme forward. So I'm not exactly sure what week this is coming out, but when it does come out, I think you're going to enjoy it. But I'm sitting in front of Kenny Williams, who is the program director for Pedal It Forward here in Rogers, Arkansas. And the Pedal It Forward, I'll let Kenny tell you more about that. But I just thought what these guys do and their mission is so perfect for this area. I mean, it would be perfect for any area, to be honest with you, but I really do believe that they are serving a need in the community that certainly exists when it comes to making biking available to everyone. So without further ado, Kenny Williams, I want to welcome you to the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. How are you?
Great, Randy. Thank you. Excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, man, we always start off, and people that listen to this on a regular basis always know what my next question is going to be, right? What is your superhero origin story?
Oh, I don't know if it's a superhero, but I have a long history of running recreation programs with a wide range of activities, all kinds of outdoor recreation. But something that I have done, beginning in high school and up until today is I have always volunteered my time with bike advocacy efforts. And it was mountain biking, it was cycling advocacy, it was, working with nonprofits such as Pedal It Forward. And a few months ago, when I got the opportunity to move out of the recreation side of things and do something for the community related to bikes full time, I jumped at it. So this is really kind of a dream job for just a long time bike nerd like myself.
That's awesome. Did you ever work in a bike shop?
Yes, I ran a university bike shop down at the University of Arkansas.
Okay, cool.
And so I've got a fair share of wrenching in my background. Actually, I specialize in wrenching on bikes that are in really bad condition because that's what college students usually bring in.
Right. So absolutely.
Pedal It Forward is a great fit for me there. But,
okay. So do you prefer mountain biking or road cycling?
I am a longtime mountain biker.
Okay.
It was my first love, riding my BMX bike around my neighborhood, and it just grew from there. And so I absolutely was attracted to Northwest Arkansas and stayed here because of some of those amenities.
No, I love that. Now, where are you from originally?
I grew up in Texas, Dallas, Texas.
Okay, cool. The Great Republic. So, yeah, it's funny you say that because I grew up, we had a BMX track in my town and I didn't really know what a mountain bike was until later. I mean, it wasn't like mountain biking wasn't a big thing back in the day. BMX was huge. I mean, I had a Red Line, I had a Mongoose.
Same here.
I mean, I had some serious bikes and I could ride. And, we used to, I mean, it was a big deal. There were a couple of my neighbors that, they traveled around for BMX and kind of like what a lot of the kids do for like soccer and travel baseball and all that. They would go from one track to the other to ride. Yeah. I typically just rode in my town, but I remember the track is no longer there, but at the height of BMX in the 80s, it was every kid had it was a big deal to have a Red Line or a Mongoose. I mean, those were the top of the line bikes. They weren't cheap. And I mean, they rode you did stuff on those things that you couldn't do on other bikes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I had a Red Line myself at one point, and it was my pride and joy.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I saw one not too long ago. I saw a guy riding one. I was like, oh my God, it's a Red Line. So,
we actually get them through the shop every now and then as donations.
Do you really?
All the folks our age kind of get all excited.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't think the young kids know about it.
No, not so much.
Because and it's funny because kids, I have a 16, a 14 and an 11-year-old, and they all want mountain bikes, but and I keep telling them about BMX, and I at one point in time, I did buy a really nice BMX bike for my oldest son, and he rode it for a while, and it really has lasted. I was kind of impressed, but I mean, I'm going to geek out real quick and then we'll move on. But there was a time back in the day, you might appreciate this, where we would strip our bikes down to the bare metal and shine them up. So my Red Line, I took all the labels off, stripped that thing down, and then I put the Red Line wording back on it.
Oh,
and it was sweet. And just imagine a highly polished BMX bike. I mean, we did everything. I dipped that thing and got all the paint off of it.
That's classic.
Yeah,
That's classic.
It is.
Yeah.
So, anyway. So, well, tell me, so how did Pedal It Forward start?
Yeah, it started in 2014 just as a volunteer dream from a couple of folks here in town. And really, it was David Tovey, Justin Tubb, and Gary Vernon are kind of the three guys that came together one Christmas and really had a passion to give some bikes away. And it was really a garage effort startup that went so well that they decided to keep doing it. And the bikes, impressively enough, continued to come in. And so they said, if we're gonna be able to continue to get bikes donated from the community, then we ought to continue to work on them and give them away.
Yeah. And did they have similar backgrounds like you did in terms of just their love of cycling and everything? So
yep, just longtime cyclists who looked around and saw that a lot of people didn't have an entry into the sport like they did. And so that was where it started.
Yeah, it's funny because as I went to, and we had a chance to actually physically meet the first time, and we had already either scheduled or were going to schedule our podcast, but we got a chance to catch up at the Oz Trail Experience Fayetteville bike race up at Centennial Park in Fayetteville. And it dawned on me as I was walking through there that, mountain biking, it's not a cheap sport. No. I mean, you got to pay to play. And there is a whole different, I got a chance to meet with some of the bear racers, those kids that were here from all over the country, some of whom will eventually end up at the Olympics. I mean, these kids can really ride, but it ain't cheap.
No.
So you guys are kind of bridging that gap and creating an opportunity for people that maybe in marginalized communities, others that have just not been as fortunate enough to be able to get a bike where their parents are not going to be able to afford to get them a bike. You guys have filled in that gap and are really providing a need that is huge in our community.
I mean, you've nailed the goal, and that's just it. Straight from our mission is providing bikes to lower income or otherwise marginalized populations that may not feel like the bike industry has a place for them, specifically financially.
Yeah.
And so
And I love that. So tell me about some of what did you guys eventually become a 501c3 and did you guys say, oh, we're going to set this up and really make it official? And then how did things grow from there?
Yeah, the board, we became an official 501c3 nonprofit and had an extremely active board made up of some of those folks and others that really just ran it as a volunteer passion project. And then just in the last couple of years have had our first hired staff. And we now have 2 full-time employees. Myself and Eric is our shop manager. And so we're very lucky that we've been able to grow at this rate. 2014 was not all that long ago. We're really lucky that Northwest Arkansas has kind of given us a chance to see how much good we can do. So we have some wonderful support from the community, and I am extremely grateful to be able to call this my full-time job. And so I'm really excited to see how much we can grow in these coming years.
Right. I mean, you guys are like right on the Greenway. You are right behind the Rogers Activity Center. I mean, it's perfectly located. It's actually right around the corner from where my new office is. So it was super convenient beyond that, but it's just the fact that you guys are right in the thick of it. And this building is perfect. I mean, for those of you that are watching, that are listening to this, obviously I wish I had a video, and I'll probably show some video on Instagram. You can always follow us on Instagram at I Am Northwest Arkansas. But just imagine an oversized bike shop with racks and racks of bikes, from small bikes to large bikes, and even some like old school bikes over here that I'm looking at. Yeah. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least 5, 6 benches where bikes can be repaired, broken down, built back up again. So, I mean, this is a serious operation.
And we're very lucky that, the city of Rogers has worked with us so well on this. And our original location up in Bentonville on Wishing Springs Road is similar to what you're looking at here. So,
okay, that's right. You have another location.
We have 2 shops like this where we are able to fill them with volunteers. And take all these bikes you see behind you,
sure,
rehabilitate them and give them out.
Yeah. So let's walk through the process a bit. I have an older bike, about to get a new one. I'm not going to necessarily sell my bike. That's a perfect candidate to being donated to Pedal It Forward.
Absolutely. And it's really hard to throw away a bike.
Oh,
right?
I know.
Everybody has that bike in the back of their garage where you're like, oh, I just don't have the time or the money to fix it up.
Yeah.
Think of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, yes, you can drop it off at either of our shops.
Okay.
In fact, we have bike racks outside of both shops that you can lock your donation to. You don't have to wait on us. You don't even have to notify us. We will get it pulled into the shop next time we see it. So,
I love that. So yeah, we'll make sure we put in the show notes contact information so you guys know where the address for both shops, in case you're not familiar with the Rogers area or the Bentonville area, in case you have a bike that's just catching dust in your garage and you want to bring it back to life, because these guys have all the tools and equipment. I'm looking at all of the, Tri-Flow lubricant and WD-40 and chain lube. I mean, they've got it all. I mean, they've got every tool in the book for working on bikes. And so if you have something just sitting around taking up space, bring it up here to Pedal It Forward and let them rehabilitate it and give it to somebody that really wants to get out there and ride. Not that you don't want to ride, but that maybe you've gotten a new bike. And so, sometimes, we get new things and we forget about the old things that we have. So, I mean, I think that's important. So talk to me a little bit about what you guys have seen over the past, it's been almost 7 years now.
Yeah.
What have you witnessed in terms of the growth of the biking community here in Northwest Arkansas?
We've been lucky. Our mission is riding the coattails of the larger movement, and really what we're doing is we're coming behind this awesome bike movement, and we're just staying extremely busy making sure that everyone feels like they have an ability to get their hands on it. And so I think the reason that we've grown so quickly is because the larger movement is moving so quickly. And so I have never seen a lack of opportunity for us to give more bikes away. In fact, almost weekly I onboard a new partner. Our business model works mostly with other nonprofits. We give bikes away to other organizations. And almost weekly I I find a new nonprofit in NWA that serves people, and I am able to start getting them bikes. And
Okay.
So that
Can you give us an example of one? Or?
Yeah, I mean, so I just got on board with Big Brothers Big Sisters NWA, and we had just never met them, and I actually met her at the Oz Trails races.
Oh, cool.
And I said, could your big brothers and big sisters use bikes to use this as a way to go on outings with their littles? And she said, absolutely. I can't believe we've never heard of you. And so that happens all the time still.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be able to offer cycling as a part of, whether it's recovery or whether it's getting healthier or whether it's just an outlet to have fun. It's an easy sell for us. And so
I love that. Yeah. I mean, and it does make sense, right? Because it's just you connecting the dots, right? In terms of where the need is and being able to fulfill. I mean, you could bring 30 kids in here right now and we could outfit them with bikes easily.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
No questions asked. And I'm sure, so all these bikes get tested and signed off, kind of like your seal of approval before they go out the door.
Absolutely. They all get repaired by a volunteer and then put through a 6-point inspection and essentially ridden twice. And so once they are signed off, they get a nice little sticker and they go into our finished bike area, and then they're ready to be assigned to be given away.
Okay, cool. So I'm curious because I'm looking at the smaller bikes over there. Who do you do? What tester do you bring in to ride those?
It's a sight to see. Yeah. There are some bikes that are so small that they get a test in the bike stand, but I've been known to put a couple pedal strokes on one of those little pink bikes over there.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's funny. So what do you say about, like, I know, and you can appreciate this because, we're probably contemporaries and somewhat in age, but I mean, they don't make bikes as well as they used to.
That's unfortunately true.
Yeah.
And in fact, we often appreciate, sometimes the older the bike, the better with the donation.
Absolutely.
Because there's some good old department store bikes out there that still run flawlessly.
Or those old Schwinn's with the metal shifters. And,
as long as they're not rusty, they will ride again.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and you mentioned volunteers. So you actually have opportunities. So people that are listening to this, if you say, man, this really sounds interesting, or I love bikes, or man, back in the day, I used to work in a bike shop. I would love to do something like that again. You actually take on volunteers. Absolutely.
And you can contact us through our website. Okay. There's a drop down that says volunteer, and you just send a little note into me.
What's the website address?
pedalitforward.org.
Okay, pedalitforward.org, and that will be on the show notes as well. But you guys have heard it here first that Kenny said that you can come on down and go through their 10-point plan to become a volunteer to help out with the bikes, and then they'll put you to work.
Yes, if you've got a wrenching background, we need your help right now. But even if you don't, we still need your help. We've got some events coming up. We've got lots to do around this shop.
Sure. And we talked a little bit about National Bike Month, but talk more about what this month means. And I know September is also kind of like a bike awareness month too, but May is the National Bike Month. Yes, and we're getting involved in that. We've joined the challenge, and our staff and our board is riding and tracking our miles. But really, it's less about the competition than it is about kind of telling the community that you belong on a bike. And we are making some concerted efforts this month to get bikes out to new partners, to do some fun little collaborations with local organizations like Latinas in BC and Girl Gang NWA, to put new butts on bikes, if you will. And providing all those bikes for free, of course. And that's awesome. We're just using this month to go do big. That. So when you do the program with Latinas in BC and also Girl Gang, you're going to physically bring bikes to them, or how's that going to work? Yes. So Girl Gang NWA will be here this weekend, and we're providing 12 bikes to 12 women that applied through Girl Gang, and they will get to go home with those bikes for free. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. How many bikes are you guys giving away on a monthly basis? We would love to give away
200 bikes a month.
Wow.
We don't always get there just because that's a large task, but we will. And our goal, we've always averaged between 1,000 and 1,500 bikes a year.
Yeah.
And I have a goal internally to push that towards 2,000 bikes a year.
That's a lot of bikes. Can you imagine that? Then you take that and then you look at the amount of miles that will be put on those bikes once they get back out on the greenway and on the track and other places. So, I mean, that's
Absolutely.
huge. Yeah.
Yep. That's a great statistic that I hadn't thought to calculate.
I would, because
it's a large impact.
It's almost like, man, it's like, hey, give everybody a benefit if they reach back out to you and then give me a rough figure of how many miles you put on the bike over a period of time and then extrapolate the number out from there.
I may have to do that.
Yeah. So there you go. That one's free. So, well, cool. So I love this. And, like I said, I'm glad I got a chance to piggyback. I mean, I just sat down with Bianca Montoya and now I'm sitting down with you kind of talking about it. You're not from here. You're originally from Texas. You came here. I mean, what is the bike culture like to you? Were you amazed by that when you got here? Because that's what I tell people all the time. Like, I have a friend that's a huge mountain biker in the Virginia area, and he loves mountain biking. He's like, yeah, I've heard about Northwest Arkansas. I got to get out there, man, and come see you and go ride. That's what he wants to do. And but was it like that when you first got here to Northwest Arkansas?
Well, it was 2010 when I first landed here. And, and absolutely, it was already getting started. That I think the Greenway wasn't completely finished, but there was already the beginnings. The excitement was already growing, and I'll tell you, I can't think of another place in 10 years now, I guess, that has doubled down more. And so
they really have, right? I mean, when you think of it, I mean, they have organizations, entities, you name it. Everybody wants to be involved with getting out and getting some exercise, especially on a bike here.
Yep.
We just had the Square to Square. So we do that twice a year in Northwest Arkansas. If you're not from here and you're thinking about moving here, we do so many different bike races and activities where everybody, like mom, dad, the kids, can all come together and do that. And I know the Square to Square in the spring was from Fayetteville to Bentonville. So it goes from one square to the other. And in the fall, they'll go from Bentonville to Fayetteville. Yeah. So did you ride this weekend?
I didn't ride this weekend, but I rode in some of the first years of Square to Square, and to see that event grow and thrive is a great example of just how healthy the culture is here.
It's a huge event.
And to see organizations like BikeNWA, I mean, I volunteered for them a little bit in grad school in 2010 and 2011. Yep. And it was the Bicycle Coalition of the Ozarks, and it was small and scrappy and down in Fayetteville. And to see the remarkable regional resource that organization has become is also notable.
Yeah, no, they are the real deal, which is why I wanted to have them on the podcast to talk about that. Because I just think people need to, part of the goal of this podcast is to highlight the things that even us that live here don't always know about, right? Because like you guys are one of the best kept secrets. Yeah, and we're going to change that. And that's the goal, is to get it out there, to get you to that 2,000 bike number for the year. But I mean, there's just so many different things happening here. And, we're trying to just connect the dots with people. And then for those of you that are on the outside looking in saying, I may come here and work for Walmart or JB Hunt or Tyson, or I might go to the U of A, or I might just relocate here and start a business. Well, this is fertile ground to do that for sure. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's just a lot to be said for this area. So, I have become more and more each day as I do this podcast, I become a fanboy it becomes more, right? So like I'm an Apple fanboy, I'm certain fanboys, but I'm an NWA fanboy. I love this area. There's so much to do here. It's not perfect, because I always tell people that it's just like any place is not perfect, right. But you know what? There's more good than there is bad. That's for sure.
Agreed.
And I got to tell you, there's nothing like being within a mile or two to just about most of the major arteries that will attach you to the Greenway, that will then transport you. I can do a half century, and that's 50 miles for those of you that don't realize. I can do a half century without blinking an eye here.
Easy.
I mean, easily.
Yep.
And when that thing connects all the way up to Bella Vista and goes to the Southwest Missouri line, you'll easily be able to do a century and never have to get on a road.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
What
let alone all the gravel riding that you can do here.
Yeah.
And that's just a whole different ball game, right?
Yeah.
So you've got the gravel, you've got mountain biking, and then you've got road riding, and then you've got, of course, the greenway. And so what I've called an embarrassment of riches from a cycling perspective, when you think about all the different things that you can do the same day.
Yes, I agree. There's so much to do. And really, we're going to have this amazing infrastructure. And so all there is left referencing our organization is to make sure that everybody can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
so what do you do? How do you keep the momentum going on those off months where, because like everybody's talking about biking right now because it's National Bike Month, but on those off months when things aren't moving as fast, how do you guys keep the momentum going? What can we do here at the podcast to create more awareness for what you're doing?
Yeah, we don't have many off months, and that's because in the colder months around the holidays, we actually give lots of bikes away.
Oh, good.
And we do that usually in conjunction with other with cities. Like a good example is last year around Christmas, we gave a large amount of bikes away through the City of Fayetteville Police Department.
Oh, nice.
And just
I think I saw that.
We like to, if it's not riding season, then it's giving season, and so we like to celebrate the holidays by giving away lots of bikes, even if they have to sit inside while it warms up.
Right. But you can, I rode all winter.
That's the beauty of Northwest
except
Arkansas.
for that abomination in February when it was like sub-zero weather for a week and I thought I was back in Boston. Yeah. I ride for the most part. And the funny thing about that weather event that we had, because it was an event, like the week before it was like 65 or something and I was out on the trail doing like 30 miles. And then a week later it was like 75. But in between there it was horrific. So, and that's the one thing. I've laid my bike down a couple of times down by like Mount Kessler and it wasn't pretty. And I have the bruise to prove it, but you aren't a real rider if you haven't laid your bike down yet. So am I right though?
Yeah, it happens to the best.
It happens to the best of us. So yeah, no, I love that. So yeah, we will certainly then continue to promote. But if I'm a mom or a dad and I'm trying to get my kids involved, can they literally just call you guys up and say, hey, we can't afford bikes. We would love if there's something that we could do. Is there like a volunteer match where they put some time in and they get a bike out of it? What are the different options that are available to people?
Yeah, we're not one of the bike shops that does work so many volunteer hours and get a bike per se, but that's not to say that anyone should hesitate in reaching out to us if they need bikes. What we'll most likely do is we'll connect you with one of our partners who we often give bikes to, such as Boys and Girls Club, any one of these larger community nonprofits. But we will find, yes.
So I want to acknowledge it so people don't think that I put some sound effects in here. We're right near the train tracks here in Rogers, and this is podcasting the way it happens sometimes. So we're not in a fancy studio at KUAF or anything like that. I'm not, this is not Ozarks at Large. This is, I am Northwest Arkansas. We are out here meeting the people, and sometimes the sights and sounds are what they are. So anyway, it's all good. But go ahead and finish your thought on that.
Anyways, don't hesitate to reach out. You will hear back from us, and we will find a way to get you rolling.
Okay. Okay. So anybody listening to this that's like, man, I'm not part of an organization, but I also can't afford to go to the bike route or to Fat Tire or Gearhead or Lewis and Clark and lay down several $100s or $1,000 or more for a bike, but I really do want to ride. You'll help them out. We'll
help you out. And It may not be immediately, here's your bike, but I will put you in touch with someone who can get you one of our bikes. So.
Okay, good. I love that. Well, man, Kenny, this has been a real treat. I appreciate it because, again, like I said, we got to geek out a little bit about BMX and some of my the old bike culture that I was used to growing up, and now that I've gotten here to Northwest Arkansas and I've introduced my kids to it, and people that listen to this podcast have introduced themselves and their families to the bike culture in NWA, and it's only you're right, it's only going to grow, and it's only going to continue to expand and get better. And I would venture to say that you guys will probably end up maybe with a a warehouse down in Fayetteville, maybe one in Springdale. You'll have one in every major city here in Northwest Arkansas.
It is. So. It's a goal to have a location south of here. I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely.
It's not set yet, but
because there's bike riders down there too. So
right.
yeah,
and there's lots of people that need bikes.
Yeah,
so we're headed that way eventually.
Oh, okay. And will you guys? Because like I said, you guys had a booth at the Ozark Trail Experience Fayetteville booth. Can we expect to see you at pretty much any major bike event that happens for the most part?
You'll see us more often than not.
Okay.
And you'll see some unique things coming out from us. We're gonna start hosting some Pedal It Forward events.
Okay. You heard it here first.
In fact, this summer we're gonna have a bicycle film fest in downtown Rogers.
Oh, that sounds nice.
You can buy tickets and come watch and buy a raffle ticket and see some unique bicycle films. And at the same time, you can support our mission. So
new ones or old ones?
New ones. These are, we're going to work with... I didn't know if you were going to
show Breaking Away or something like that. That's a classic. So
we're working with a festival called Filmed by Bike out of Portland, Oregon.
Oh, nice.
And they will bring
a whole movie festival around bike culture.
It'll be a one-night event. A compilation of kind of the best films from their festival.
Really?
Yeah, it'll be at hopefully downtown Rogers at the Victory Theater.
That'll be good. Yeah. That'll be good. All right. Well, you heard it here first. Well, good. So will that information be on your website?
It will be out soon.
Okay. Remind us of the website address again.
pedalitforward.org.
Okay, pedalitforward.org. And is there a phone number that people can reach you guys on?
It's on the website.
It's on the website. Okay,
and,
perfect.
We're also on social media at Pedal It Forward NWA.
And that's on Instagram?
Instagram and Facebook.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Yeah, well, and I'll have all of that information in the show notes. I will make sure that I send Kenny some information to fill out, but we will make sure we share all of that with our audience. But Kenny, thank you so much, man, for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate it. You guys have a class operation here, and I can't wait to tell more people about it.
Thanks so much, Randy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here comes another train.
That's right. There it is. So we're going to close this out. Well, folks, that's another episode of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. To learn more about us or to read or download the show notes from today's episode, visit IamNorthwestArkansas.com. You can also listen to this podcast and sign up for our free newsletter to keep up with us and all things NWA. Sign up today. Please subscribe to the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast wherever you listen to it, and please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Remember, our podcasts come out every Monday, rain or shine. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn, and we'll see you back here next week for a new episode of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Check us out each and every week, available anywhere that great podcasts can be found. For show notes or more information on becoming a guest, visit IamNorthwestArkansas.com. We'll see you next week on I Am Northwest Arkansas.